And let's get started with our seated yoga. Taking yourself into a comfortable position, finding that back of the seat rest so that you can rest your back on it. I invite you to begin letting go of some of the monkey mind activity that goes on during the day. The brain that wants to think about what's coming next and what happened just a minute ago and what it's irritated about, and we'll just set that part of the brain aside. Hopefully give it a chance to just rest and relax as we work on our mindfulness practice. That is always meant to be thought of as a practice, because we're never expecting ourselves to be perfect, because that just isn't reality. So we will just accept ourselves for where we are on our journey and allow ourselves to just check in with where you're at today and notice just where you are as far as tensions in the body goes, and where your mind is finally hopefully settling. Allowing ourselves here this opportunity to let the eyes begin to let go of all the information that they're trying to gather and tell us about. By just closing those eyes or just looking downward towards the ground, and then beginning to check in with the other senses in the body. We might notice the sensation of sitting or feeling, touching, feeling the feet below us or the sits bones in the chair. Maybe noticing the ground below those feet or underneath us. We can also begin to notice the sound around us, and maybe that sound of our own breath coming and going. Perhaps hearing that inhale, we might notice the length of that inhale versus the length of the exhale that goes with it. We can check into that entire process of breathing, noticing the beginning of it, the middle of that breath, and then the end as everything comes back out again. And we'll allow ourselves here that generous sense of acceptance of our experiences, trying to be curious about the sensations instead of judgmental, and allowing ourselves to change the positions that we're in as needed. So I'm going to invite you from there to start tapping fingertips onto the thumb. If you like, you can do the same with your toes, just tapping one toe at a time. We can't tap it to the big toe unless you're very talented. And then we'll gradually work our way back into this space, just noticing the sensations around us, and whatever temperature that room is, opening those eyes, and we'll scoot to the front edge of our seat. We're working today on our head, neck, and shoulders area, so I'm going to invite us all into some stretches to begin. So let's tuck the chin down towards the chest. Maybe place the hands on the top back side of the head for extra stretch. Holding there for a few breaths, give that area a good moment to loosen up. Letting those hands come down, I invite you to tip the head over to one side, maybe to your right side. Putting the hand, just the one hand up there. Excellent. And try that on the other side. Kind of comparing, just noticing where the stopping points are for your neck, where it doesn't want to go any further. We're not going to force it. But we'll just notice it and give it some time to stretch. From there, I invite you to drop that head back, looking up at the ceiling. Just getting a few deep inhales and exhales. When it feels right, we'll bring the head back to center and rotate it around in range that feels comfortable for you. Going maybe 3 times around and then 3 times back. The other direction, still going around, but going to the reverse direction. And we're going to let that head come up back to center and coordinate our breath with our shoulders as they round up towards our ears. Inhaling, exhaling, dropping them down. Inhaling with the lift. Exhaling as we lower. And then trying that from the other direction. Once again, inhaling, lifting to the front. Exhaling, lowering. Right, releasing out of those shoulder rolls, hoping to find a little bit more looseness in the neck, head, shoulder area. But if we don't have that yet, maybe we'll get there by the end as we bring ourselves into our first deep stretch here called thread the needle, taking the knees apart. We'll come down onto the knees. You're going to take one arm behind the other and then let yourself tilt to the center or towards elbow or shoulder toward the other knee there. As we hold here in thread the needle, we'll get the upper back a decent stretch between the shoulder blades. Then slowly release up and out, coming up onto elbows and then up to hands. Notice all the places that got that stretch as we go over to the other side, coming down onto elbows. Take one hand behind the other. Rotate or twist the upper body so that the heaviness of it can help lead you into a decent upper back stretch. We have to give that plenty of time to release the tensions there. So give it another deep inhale, exhale, thread the needle. All right, slowly work your way back upright. Come into our tall seated position. I invite you into cat and cow up next. So for our cat and cow, we can begin with the hands straight out in front and on the knees. Then rounding the back, let's go into cat, curling into that ball shape, that upper half of the body rounding. Gradually letting go of cat, I invite you up into tall lengthened position and then all the way into cow, going the other direction now, with the belly coming forward and the back arching the opposite direction. Taking some deep breaths into the belly and trying to feel it as it fills up and expands. Cow pose. Alrighty, from here I invite you to take the hands, we're going to go into a C-shaped cat and cow. So we'll take both hands to one leg, one at the knee and one closer into the hip, and make your arched back. So your cat, C-shaped cat. Noticing the difference in that side body stretch. Releasing out of that side. Take the hands and walk them over to the other knee and hip. And then we'll do the same thing over here. Round our back first. Cat pose. And then arch it the other direction into your cow. Excellent. All right, we'll release out of cat and cow and bring ourselves back to the front, going into what we call an egg pose. Egg pose is also called the seed pose, and for this one, we will take those feet in together next to each other, knees in as best you can, and then let those hands come back behind you. Try reaching for the fingers or just leaving them back behind you. If they're available to touch each other, we will touch them. And then let that head drop forward and down. Curl up here in our small little seed position or egg pose. And we can release when it feels right. So come up and out of that egg. We'll bring ourselves into our downward facing dog up next. So for downward facing dog, you have the option of doing that one from standing. So I'm going to show it first seated, and then we'll offer the standing version. Seated downward dog has the hands sliding down the front side of the legs. And then we just allow the head, neck, and shoulders to soften so that they're heavy, and they dip down between the arms, the head does. If you're doing it from the standing position, you're holding onto the seat of your chair, stepping your feet away from the chair, and then letting your weight shift back to the heels as that long stretch there happens along the entire length of the spine. Again, you're dropping that head to release tension. So there's your two versions of downward dog. Excellent. Give it one more breath in whichever version you're in. And then we will come up and into our tabletop. So for our tabletop, just means we're going to have our hands underneath our shoulders and our feet underneath the knees, and then pressing into the upper part of our legs. So lengthen that spine, try to get just a little bit more length in our spine, breaking away from gravity. Just gentle press into those hands. Excellent. So our table. And from there we have more things to work on with our back. So let's release out of table and extend into a locust pose. For our locust pose, I invite you to start off with the feet about hip width apart, arms coming back behind us. And straighten those elbows and press those arms back. From here, with the head tipped back, balancing there, engaging our core, the locust pose. Feeling the work of your locust pose as you pull those shoulder blades in toward each other on the back of the body. Excellent, looking good. All right, you can release out of locust and bring yourself around here and into what's called a happy baby pose. Happy baby. We are taking those feet as wide apart as we can, and then we're going to reach the arms in and around those ankles. So you might be coming just forward to here for your happy baby, or you may be bringing the arms around. Try to reach around to get a hold of the front side of those ankles and let that head drop. Giving out one more deep breath in and out. Gradually release those arms, letting them untwist. We'll bring ourselves up and into a seated twist of sage pose. For that sage pose, we have options again for the legs. So I'm going to invite you to try option one, which is just the crisscross down at the ankles, which should be comfortable for most of us. We can also let the sides of the feet rest on the ground there. Lengthen ourselves up and then spreading those arms wide. We'll take opposite elbow over the top of the opposite knee. So take a deep inhale here. And exhale as you bend the elbow, lifting that arm above the knee. And the back arm helping to twist is holding on to the seat back. Giving one more deep inhale, exhale, and we can release out of sage pose. If it's not comfortable for you to have those ankles crossed, feel free to just have the feet side by side. Otherwise, cross with the other leg now over the front. Arms uplifted. Inhale as we bend the elbow and come around to twist the other side. This is called sage pose. Inviting you then to release out of sage. We'll come back to the center and come up and into our mountain pose. So for your mountain today, let's work a little bit on balance by taking the feet in toward each other, touching the inside of the feet up against each other, making a small base of support. Let those arms fan out at the sides as we lengthen that spine. And then to challenge the balance, if it's available to you to do, go ahead and let those eyes close, noticing where the feet are in relation to the hands. Noticing if you can tell where your feet are touching the ground, if they are coming together, if you're feeling them together touching. All right. And then we'll slowly open those eyes and release out of mountain. Nicely done, shaking it out. I invite you into a little water break there, if you have some, and then we will continue on our journey. All right, tea or water or whatever you have that's good and refreshing here today on another one of the hot days of summer. Let's bring ourselves into a seated forward fold, one leg at a time. Extending one leg out, we'll keep the other leg bent, and you can either bring yourself forward over that bent knee or over the other one, depending on what feels better for your balance. Toes are pointing up as best we can get so that we're getting an advantage of an additional calf stretch. And then release up and out of your 1/2 forward fold. Notice that stretch that happened on the back of that leg, and we'll hopefully get a similar one over here. Starting off with the toes pointed up, the straight knee, come forward. Give it another deep breath in and out. And let's come out of that side, bring the feet together, and go into a caterpillar forward fold to get that low back, a good decent stretch. So both legs are out in front, and we'll walk the hands forward, find a good stopping point, and then go a little further if it's available. Deep inhale, exhale, and try another adjustment forward. We'll inch our way back up and out of that forward fold, bringing the feet back to side-by-side position, and we can work our way into a warrior two pose from here. So we'll start off warrior two, taking that left leg out to the side. Arms can slowly raise up to make that T shape, and we'll go ahead and add some breath work in here, coordinating that movement with the breath by palms coming in, inhaling, exhaling, arms out. Inhaling in and exhale out. 2 more times. There's 1. Excellent. And there's 2. And release out of this warrior 2 on this side and give it a try over here. Let this leg work its way out. Maybe notice if one side's able to go a little further than the other. And then the arms will work their way up. And we'll come into warrior 2, looking out and over those fingertips on this side. When you're ready, bring the palms together, inhaling. Exhaling, stretching out. Inhale to center, exhale out. And the last one. Excellent. Warrior twos. Let's release out of warrior 2. Bring the leg back to center, and we are heading then into our flow pose today. So for your flow pose, I'm going to invite you into a triangle that's going to flow into a revolved triangle. So let's start off on the left. That left leg out, straighten the leg at the knee, arms come up again, but this time we turn the palms so they're facing forward, and we'll come down, bringing that hand in front of the knee. The other one stretches up overhead, or if it's not comfortable for the shoulder, feel free to put the fingertips on the rib cage. Gradually turning that gaze to look upward. We'll release out of our triangle, coming into part 2 of the flow, which is revolved triangle. Take that hand and replace it at the knee, and the other one will come to the rib cage on the back. As we look back over that elbow, revolved triangle. Releasing out of revolved triangle, coming up, untwisting, bring everything back to center, and let's try it on the other side with the right leg making its way out. Coming up and into our triangle, dipping to the right. If it's available, you may be able to bring that fingertips down to the ground. You just may be able to, so it's always worth testing to see how far. It doesn't have to stop at the knee, it can come down. And then we will transition into our revolved triangle, coming around with that hand to the rib cage and the other one to the front side of the knee or to the floor. We can release then out of our triangles and come back to center. And invite you into a halfway lift, where we come halfway between the ground and the sky. So let's start with the feet coming nice and wide apart. Hands will slide down the front side of the legs. And we'll just bring ourselves halfway. Pressing into the front side of the legs. Opening up the ribs, taking another deep inhale, exhale, halfway lift. We come up and out and invite you up into your half moon pose, where we are using one side of the body here. So we're going to go ahead and take one leg out, and we'll take this arm. It's going to come in front of that leg, and the other arm comes overhead, similar to our triangle, but we're not trying to get the angle of it. It's just half moon here. Basically coming over to your side, and give it one more breath into that side body. Release when it feels right. Up tall. Bring that leg out, and the right side can open. Arms coming in front of this leg, one above, one below. Half moon pose. Awesome, releasing out of your half moon. Let's come back to center. And into a warrior 3 pose. We're taking one foot back behind us. That can be our left foot back underneath. The right foot is out in front. Spreading the toes wide. We'll reach those arms forward. Hover over that right foot. Warrior 3. One more long, steady breath in and out. And let's release out of our warrior 3 on that side. Compare it to the other one with that left foot now in the front position and the other one underneath. Reach forward over the top of that leg. Extending those arms right straight out from the shoulders. Warrior 3. Awesome. We're going to release out of our warrior when you're ready, coming up and into a Sphinx pose, where we'll have the knees at least hip width apart, if not more. Then come down onto your elbows. Let that low back just get as much of a dip into it as feels good for you. And Sphinx pose as the eyes look upwards towards the ceiling. Long, deep inhales, exhales. Looking good. And let's release out of Sphinx pose when you're feeling ready to do so. Coming up tall and into our next one, which is the opposite of that, pretty much, a camel pose. So with our camel, showing it from the side view here, we reach back behind ourselves, try to find a good place to hold onto, and then tip your weight back onto those hands. If there's no space behind you, you might be able to place the palms on your low back and do your tipping back. Let the head drop back behind us. Hopefully by now there's less tension on the front side of this neck and throat area, as we've done quite a few stretches for this neck, shoulders area today. Come out of camel when it feels right. And into a child's pose. For that child's pose, we want those feet to be nice and wide apart. We can come forward onto elbows, reach across to get the opposite hand and forearm, and then allow yourself to tip forward, lengthening over the top of those hands and forearms. Slowly coming up and out of child's pose. And I invite you to the back of our seat here as we take any final stretches or final swigs of water or refreshment before we head into that resting pose of Shavasana. And settle in when it feels right, stretching out the legs, lining that back into the seat back, and letting the eyes close for a brief few moments here at the end of our session, just so we can take that more internal view again, inhaling and exhaling and noticing all the parts of that breath. As we inhale, we can be thinking to ourselves the word inhale, exhale with the word exhale on your mind. Checking in with the shoulders, head, neck, rotating them around a few times. Just seeing what kind of progress you made today. Then we'll settle right here for a few minutes in silence. slowly taking fingertips and touching each one to the thumb on that hand. Going back and forth from fingertip to fingertip. We can begin to wake the body back up into the space that we're in. As we slowly make our way to the front of our seat again, opening those eyes, and we'll get our final 3 singing bowl chimes. Thanking you all for making this Wednesday a special one with each other, with our yoga practice together, and hoping you have a good week. If I don't see you till next week, otherwise, see some of you on Friday. Namaste. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Those who've got to take off.